Boom, we're back with episode 2. This is Myles, and I am basically going to be running you guys through how this past week went, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but not everything, just things that I think are worth sharing with other people. I don't think you should share everything with everyone. Um, but yeah, I've decided to put together these lists of what I've done and what I think is worth sharing with people. So, to kind of kick the ball off with things that went well for me this past week, I was able to basically finish all my school assignments, and I am ready for my exams on Monday and Tuesday. And it sounds super lame, but to me that is the best position I could be in right now on a Sunday. Is having every other class finished with, and all I have is these 2 exams, and the feeling of finishing a semester of school, especially a second to last one, is probably not as good as your last one. But but yeah, it's a good feeling wrapping it up and starting to plan out what the final courses are going to look like and the last little bit of everything for the final semester. Um, so yeah, I'm just glad to, I mean, above all, have stuff to do these days when people are telling you to stay inside and for good cause. So more times than not, when you're inside, schoolwork is just that one devil on your shoulder that's always there. There's always something to do. Um, so yeah, that went pretty well this week. The thing that did not go that well, that I would have said in last week's podcast, is the fact that I'm trying to basically wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and I utterly failed this past week. I think I woke up at 9 a.m. consistently from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday I probably woke up at I think Friday I woke up at 6, which was the only half step. And then just into Saturday, I went on this final stretch vibe of just pulling an all-nighter and uh, wrapping up all my assignments. Basically, I just couldn't wait to finish them all and be able to say that I'm ready for my exams. So that motivated me to just go through the night, and by 7 a.m. I just crashed until noon. so um, so yeah, it's not the most sustainable sleeping pattern, but I mean, not to say it's an excuse, but I'm sure everyone these days and their sleeping patterns have just been absolutely scrambled. So I think, nonetheless, at least personally, waking up early and having that time, as I would have mentioned last week, is quite valuable, at least to me. So despite the fact that the rest of the world is sleeping on their own terms, I would like to think that in a world where everything is changing every day, I can keep some constants. Like last month when I had the running, I mean, the world was, as I said, on fire, and nonetheless, I just knew I had something to do. So I would like to treat this in the same way. So I guess what I was thinking, to kind of hold myself more accountable this week, is to try and do the same thing I did with the runs, where even though it might have looked obnoxious, Myles is posting his workouts every day. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted people to see the workout I was doing, but the social pressure, I guess, of just knowing that people are gonna expect you to do something if you say you're gonna do it, basically, on a wide scale. So yeah, I'm basically gonna be screenshotting when I wake up, and I would like to think that that's gonna be 5 a.m. this week. Uh, so to everyone out there that's listening, if you don't see my 5 a.m. screenshot, you have every right to just be like, Myles, what are you doing? Because for everything else lined up in this coming week, it's basically very necessary that I'm up at that time, for the sake of having a full day ahead of me, because each time that I woke up at 9 a.m. this week, I was still able to get what I needed to do done, but it was just the bare minimum. It was just scraping by, which I'm very well versed at doing, but I you don't want to just get in the habit of scraping by. Um, so that being said, obviously the ultimate goal is to kind of just be more efficient. So let's say some people listen and are like, yeah, I can still wake up at 9 and do everything I needed to do and then some. And hats off to you, because everyone operates on their own cycle. And I guess that was the big thing that Julian, my brother, pointed out this week, is that you kind of just need to find your own cycle. Um, so nonetheless, I'm not kind of using that as an excuse to look at the fact that I woke up at 9 and say, oh, because I'm waking up at 9, that's just my natural cycle. Um, so I should work with that. I mean, it's kind of finding a midpoint, right? So maybe if I'm aiming for 5 and it just doesn't feel right, maybe it'll be 5:30, 6, and just experiment with it. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's pretty important to me for the upcoming week. And then otherwise, for the upcoming week, as I said, I have these 2 exams Monday, Tuesday. So those 2 days are going to be really locking down on not screwing those up, because I don't want to act as if I have them in the bag. I mean, you can only really think that once you've done the exam and put pen to paper and you know that you've put it out there. Um, so yeah, I still have some work to do on that, but I'm relatively confident that I'll get the pass. Um, so otherwise, something exciting to look forward to this week is a competition that came onto my radar through a startup that I'm working with. Essentially, it is through Ryerson's DMZ, which is a startup incubator. So, for those that don't know what a startup incubator is, it is basically a place where small businesses are made. And what this challenge is centered around is the current coronavirus crisis. Um, and they're basically incentivizing entrepreneurs or any kind of individual from all across Canada. I think there's about 95 teams across Canada applying or participating. And basically, they're just trying to find some kind of digital solution for whether it's frontline workers, whether it's just the average Canadian citizen. We're trying to simply create some kind of digital solution, and I'm not sure what the prize is. It has to be like 10 or 15K, which is not a small amount of money relatively for a startup. Like, you can be very efficient and get a lot done with 10 to 15K. Um, so so yeah, it's a nice little challenge. Obviously, everyone in these times, it's been a spectrum of how to feel about the topic of productivity. I mean, some people I mean, everyone's reacting in every kind of way, you know. Like, some people seeing it as the opportunity that that every problem brings. Every problem is basically something that is waiting to be solved. So it's really the way that people look at things, I think, at this point. So even though people have every right to kind of not put pressure on themselves to be on their A game, I think that, yeah, just from a very basic level of survival, you should try to. I'm not gonna even try to go into telling people what they should try to do, but at least on my end, it all starts with the mind and training your mind to adapt and create and overcome. So yeah, I don't subscribe to any kind of thoughts that are contrary to those kind of forward, progressive thoughts, basically, because what you think is what you say, and what you say is what you are most likely going to do. And that's the whole reason why I'm doing this. So So yeah, otherwise we have 2 weeks basically filled with virtual workshops just on different topics. For example, I think one of them is how to sell and deal with the government. Um, so yeah, just insightful things that at the end of the day, even if we don't come up with a solution to the coronavirus, not to say we're looking for a cure, but just some kind of digital aid. So I mean, if anyone listening has some good ideas, feel free to brainstorm with me. And yeah, otherwise it's always fun to learn, especially when I say it's always fun to learn. uh, it's fun to learn when it's fun to learn. And what I mean by that, I guess, is um, I guess in the traditional education system, um, it does not reflect true learning. And that is just my opinion. It's not a fact per se. And obviously, there's a lot of value to get from school on different levels in terms of learning and discipline and um, different things. But I mean, at the end of the day, true learning to me is everything you do outside of a classroom, and that's not to just absolutely step on everything that everyone that works in a classroom does, but um, but yeah, every single second you should be learning. So again don't want to say you should be, because uh, I am not trying to tell anyone what to do. But when I say you should be, I'm just almost talking to myself. Um, so yeah, don't feel as though, oh, Myles is doing this, so you should do this. No, I am just doing me, and this should hopefully help you to just look at what you're doing and check yourself. So, um, so yeah, just to kind of wrap things up, the other thing that I mentioned last week was these interviews that I did back in December, and now this is not me getting interviewed because I'm not that important yet. I haven't done anything to be interviewed for yet, but um, basically I am trying to ship these interviews out because they've been recorded. They are just sitting on my hard drive, and I've used a lot of different excuses in terms of busyness and school. A lot of good excuses, I'll give myself that, but nonetheless, excuses. I mean, excuses are the cheapest thing out there. It's the easiest thing to create. So yeah, up until this point, I really haven't edited anything. And what I'm basically planning to do is just put these things into GarageBand because it's a software already on my laptop. And and basically, what I figured, I was looking at my calendar today, just mapping out the week, and there's 21 days between now and something like April 2nd. So I have roughly 20 to 21 interviews recorded. So I just figured, in true Calendar Club style, I hold myself accountable to editing one interview every day. And I figured that while it might not be um, the most sustainable method of going about things to say that at the end of each day one interview will be edited, um, it's more so the concept that I want to have 7 interviews done by the end of this week. And when I say done, I mean edited. And not only edited, but edited and approved by the CEO of the magazine that gave me access to these people to interview. So I want to be able to kind of get a quick feedback loop and just edit them, share them, get feedback, tweak. Hopefully it's not more than 1 or 2 tweaks, but yeah, that's another thing, is that you can't just expect anything you do to or at least I don't expect anything I do to be perfect off the bat. So the quicker I can get feedback on it, the better, because I know I want people to just absolutely rip into me. And it's gonna sound terrible, but I mean, like, if anyone's listening and they're just like, why is Myles saying that word over and over. Or why is he doing this? And just little frustrations. Like, tell me. I am someone that values constructive criticism above all, and I just love punches to the face. So yeah, like, bring it on. Anything that you're pissed, even if you're pissed off that I'm doing this, like, tell me, because yeah, like, uh, love and hate are very closely related. So the goal of this is to just get people to speak out, and yeah, I am realizing that I went over 15 minutes and I wanted to keep it at 15. So uh, just to wrap things up, um, you can expect me to kind of share my learnings on those interviews in the coming week. And otherwise, yeah, like, let's hope I pass these exams. This Hack the Curve is what it's called, the challenge that I'm doing. So that's going to be fun. People keep me accountable to waking up at 5 a.m. between Monday to Friday. And yeah, thanks to everyone that reached out after the first episode and showed love. And again, even if it's not love, just let's get some dialogue going. So peace, love, and respect, people.